What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of a live stream. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the fight week, almost that Saturday night to make some more money at UFC Vegas 71. And I just realized, talking to Johnny K backstage, that why does UFC Vegas 71 sound familiar? And it's because we use this sort of with Merab Dvalishvili and Peter Yan, but that was technically UFC Las Vegas, not in the.
Yeah, I used it for one day, and I got corrected, and I changed it to Las Vegas so people would be okay.
But this is UFC Las Vegas 71, back at the Apex at long last. Feels like a while since we've been here for a heavyweight bout with Sergey Pavlovich taking on Curtis Blaydes. In the main event, we are down to 12 fights for this card. That co-main event between Ricky Simone and Song Yadong has now been moved to next week's 5-round headliner. So I am missing that one. I was looking forward to that bout. I did have a bet on it, but now we got to reanalyze a 5-round version of that fight and place that next week. So how you feeling, Johnny K? Welcome back to the channel, brother. It's been not too long since we talked, but I think it's been since November since I've had you on my show.
Yeah, it has been. It's been a while, but thanks for having me on. Looking forward to these fights. There's a lot of closer ones. And but man, there's some betting spots that I really, really like, and we'll get into those as we go. I was talking to you about this. And but yeah, a lot of close fights, a lot of pick'em fights, a lot of lines that should be pick'ems too. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of lines that I agree with, more or less, where I'm just not I'm not keen on either side. I only have 2 bets in here. I'm looking to add. I've got a list of a couple more that I want to add, but I'm gonna narrow it down. After I got killed last week on the betting, and all of my confident fighters, sort of failed me. All of the non-confident plays hit early in the night. You yourself had a winning night. I was proud of you on that. And you and Cody had a really good night as well.
Yeah, Cody destroyed.
Yeah, so I want to, your natural instinct is to go hard in the next card, but I'm just not finding any spots that I like on this one. So it might be rather light, but hopefully you can steer me in the right direction of some props, especially now that we've got props on, of course, BetOnline and DraftKings as well. And there's kind of a same game parlay angle I'm looking at for the main event as well. But
me too.
Before we get into that, man, what are you drinking on tonight? I know we had the old-fashioned idea that you spawned in my head this morning when I was at work, and I got super thirsty, decided to make my own. What was that beautiful touch that you added to yours? You just explained to me.
So if anybody has Netflix, I've been watching Ultimate Drink Master. So if you haven't checked that out, if you like reality TV like Top Chef, check it out. So I have a pineapple ice cube. If it's hard to see, but it's yellow right there. I made it just because I was watching that show and it inspired me. I had some leftover pineapple in my fridge, blended up a little bit, put some ice cube trays. There it is. Put it in my old fashioned, and hopefully it, melts a little bit so I can get some of the pineapple flavor I'm tasting. I'm like, it's still old fashioned.
What's the base? Are you doing a whiskey old fashioned? What do you got in there?
Yeah. Right now it's just some Bushmills that I had, some decent Bushmills, not lower
Irish,
level though.
Okay, an Irish old fashioned. Nice.
Irish, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I got in here, I got some, of course, you got to have the lemon and the orange in there, get some oils in there, a little bit of fruity citrus in there.
Yep. That's what the pineapple's for the little.
But I went all out on the whiskey, man. Some nice Whistle Pig 10-year rye. Had to go all out for it. But we can get the show on the road, since I see Cody in the chat, and he says this show better be fucking fire because I stayed up past my old man bedtime for this. Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's an hour ahead of us. So 8 o'clock is usually pushing it for him.
Well, it's going to be fire. We're drinking whiskey. You don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. There's going to be at least 2 shoey bets tonight. So. Oh,
God. On this card, yeah, I'm down. We'll hopefully find some spots. Somebody in my comments in my full card breakdown said that we disagree on a lot of picks, and I haven't seen yours yet. So we'll see.
I haven't seen yours either.
I'm ready to go to war on every post.
Let's go.
So we got Mushroom in the chat. What's up, Mushroom? Saying, what's up, Patrick and Johnny? 3 more sleeps. Let's fucking go. I'm pretty sure he's got a live stream later tonight maybe as well, so check out his channel. Make sure you subscribe to our boy Bobby. He's amazing. Victor J. De Jesus saying what's up to Patrick, Johnny K in the chat. I talked to Victor last week. He was thinking about maybe coming down to that Chicago Bellator.
Oh, nice.
June. Yeah, that'd be dope. I'd love to see Victor there. Grateful dude. Interested to hear our takes, man. Thanks for being here. SD Crusader on the ride to 1K. Yeah, man, we're getting dangerously close.
Where are you at now? 950?
Like 940 or something like that.
Oh
man. Crazy.
Getting close. We'll get you.
More than I deserve, man. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are great. Ryan,
you deserve more. You deserve more than that.
Don't
be so humble.
Chuck Rivers saying, Swolja, we love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. We got a lot of fights to get through here that I really want to dive into. Even though it's a 12-fight card, there's some really iffy ones that I want to get your opinion on. So, yeah, Victor's saying he'll be at Bellator. Got a seat with us. There we go. Let's go.
There we go.
I like it.
All right.
No, he's not some crazy stalker, Johnny. I did tell him where we were sitting, so he didn't just
okay.
figure it out on his own.
Sweet.
I asked every seat if it was JohnnyKpicks, Blood Money, and the combat.
You'll be sitting with the three amigos.
Exactly. But first fight of the night on the prelims, we got a bantamweight bout between Batgerel and Brady Hiestand. This is a spot I see a lot of people split on just looking through Twitter. And myself, I fell on the Batgerel side. The money line is about, though, like where I would place it. You know what I mean? Like it's just a slight favorite to Batgerel. We're looking at minus 155. Brady Hiestand plus 120, plus 130, somewhere in that range. I mean, look, second fight in the UFC third fight technically for Brady Hiestand, who's going to seek to probably get this fight to the mat as much as possible. But when it stays standing, man, like those in between him getting the takedown and him actually staying at striking range, he's super hittable. His hands are low. He got dropped in like the first 10 seconds against Fernie Garcia. Everybody's butt was puckered if you had the Hiestand side of that one last time out.
I did.
Yeah. Batgerel, I mean, this guy's been taking up some steps in competition. You know, he was winning against Chris Gutierrez and then got caught in round 2. The last fight after, very competitive scrap last year against Kyung Ho Kang, who's been in the league forever. And this guy's got power, like, even though he's got a bunch of round 1 knockouts in the UFC so far, like his cardio doesn't really die off in the later rounds of a fight. You know what I mean? So I can see him being dangerous whenever this is standing. So I just think the striking is just a lot more in the favor of Batgerel here. And I don't think his takedown defense is all that bad. You know, I think he's going to be able to sprawl and brawl. So what do you think about this one? I'm not crazy about either side.
Yeah. This was an iffy one when I first did my breakdowns. I was just looking at the lines and I'm like, well, I don't want to touch the money line for Dana. It's too high. But now a lot of money came in on Hiestand and I'm like liking Dana more now. But I'm going to stay away ultimately from the money line on this. But I do like Dana to win. I think the striking, like you said, is going to be way better. Hiestand is just mainly a grappler wrestler guy. He wants to get this fight to the mat. That's how he's going to win the fight, is just basically chain wrestle and chain takedowns and hope to not get hit. But I just found out recently that Dana's at Fight Ready. So that even makes me want to bet Dana, or my at least I'm a little bit more confident now in my pick with Dana. So I think he gets it done, though. I think he gets it done in the first round. He has that left hook counter, kind of like Alex Pereira, where it is deadly and it's like a one-touch KO. And I think if he hits that on Brady, it's going to be game over. So I'm going to say Dana knockout round 1, but I'm going to stay away from this fight. I want to see what Dana does after a couple of those fights that he ended up losing.
Hey, shout out to my guy, Zach. This is my training partner here, finishing up the pump from the gym. It's going on. He's a big fight fan as well. Yeah, I mean, what about the props on this one? Do you like any of the finish props for Dana? Like, would you...
It would be KO.
Like the KO prop would be, I think that's around, we're looking at plus 150. So it's like not really sticking out to me too much. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he could win a decision based on just the bigger moments.
True. He could. I would say he gets that knockout early, like for maybe like first round, maybe early second. But if he doesn't, he can win a decision, or it might get greasy and maybe it's a split, like one of those things, you know?
Yeah. It's another one of those angles where it's like, yeah, he's got just ungodly power for the weight class. But Brady Hiestand only been finished in round 3 by Chad and Hellinger, who we've seen in the UFC. Don't know what this guy's toughness is. I mean, so far it doesn't look great. You know what I mean? He got dropped in his past couple of fights that ended up going to the scorecards. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing about this fight. I see our guy Effie from the Any Action Sportscast in the house. And what's up, Killis? He likes the Dana inside the distance. And Ice Viking like in the money line as well, minus 130, half a unit. Yeah, I mean, look, half a unit, like you're kind of like the same confidence level I'm at with that one for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is. What do you think about like the ceiling of Brady Hiestand in general in the UFC? Like, is he? I know he's super young. He's 23, so he's got a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that he's young because I right now I just don't see a really high ceiling. He needs to work on his striking a lot. If he can work on that. I mean, he's got the grappling and wrestling, but he's one of those guys where I just think he's going to be a decision machine. And if some striker is going to be better out there, like his chin doesn't really like hold up too much. So I mean, I'm not really that high on him, unfortunately, but I mean, he's still young. Who knows?
Our guy Cody liking to knock Batgerel as well. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of flip-flopping because last time I picked Brady Hiestand, I was pretty confident because I just didn't think very highly of not only the takedown defense of Fernie Garcia, but I didn't think highly of his too highly of like the danger of his striking. In this fight, there's a lot of
Exactly.
danger anytime this stays standing. So we're on the same page for that one.
Yeah.
No bets for me on this fight, but moving along to a very fun fight, man. A very fun women's flyweight bout, 125. Priscilla Cachoeira versus Karine Silva. Second walk to the cage for Karine Silva. Priscilla Cachoeira, the zombie girl we've seen many, many times the past handful of years, and I've loved backing her, especially when I can get Priscilla Cachoeira against a girl that's like got questionable durability, questionable cardio. You know what I mean? Like low volume strikers as well. Like people like that aren't going to go for a wrestling heavy game plan. Very high on Priscilla Cachoeira, especially at underdog price, which she is in this fight. And she's at plus 168, plus 160. Karine Silva from minus 190 all the way up to like minus, man, we're pushing minus 200 on some books as well. So I like Karine Silva a lot just because of her Muay Thai and like how accurate and, you know, how just polished of a striker she looks. You know, if she can keep up that pace, the problem is she's got 100% finishing potential, right? So we've never seen her actually win a decision. She's lost the one fight that's gone to decision in her career so far. Pretty young. Her ground game is solid as well. I see her take girls to the ground, threaten with all types of submissions. I love that in the terms of this fight. But man, I don't know. Like the money line is, it's a little sketchy for somebody who's in their second UFC fight taking on Priscilla Cachoeira, who has proven to kind of be like her nickname states, like the zombie in this fight, and just keep moving forward. I don't know. What's your confidence level in this one, man? Like I'm picking Karine Silva just on the basis of her being just a better Muay Thai fighter. Like I feel like she's going to be able to catch the face of Cachoeira at every turn here, but just hoping she doesn't gas out. That's what's keeping me off of a bet. What do you like about Karine Silva now?
Yeah, I would say confidence level out of 10, maybe like an 8. I'm pretty high on her. I think she'll win.
Okay. That's pretty good.
The reason why is just because of her grappling, her wrestling, and Priscilla's lack thereof grappling and wrestling and takedown defense. And we saw her on the mat versus Jillian. And I know Jillian's fantastic grappler. We just saw her win again. But I mean, Karine is just I don't want to say just as good, but she's like up there, I think, in the featherweight in that division. And like you said, she's won 15 times and she's got like 8 knockouts and 7 submissions. So she's no slouch on the feet if she can't get the takedown. So I'm not super scared. Maybe, like you said, if the longer the fight goes, like maybe in a third round, I'll be scared. But I don't think this fight gets out of the third or gets to the third round. I think one of these girls are going to end up finishing the other. I would say it's going to be Silva. I think it's going to be by submission. I'm going to say first round submission again. I think she's going to get that takedown pretty quick. Go for, you know, whatever submission she wants. She has a whole bunch of submissions on her resume. So, and I just don't think Priscilla is going to know what to do like against Jillian. Like she just literally did everything wrong, and Jillian was like, "Oh, this is easy, got it." Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah, and even Jillian Robertson, not the best takedown offense at all, but she just caught Priscilla moving forward, over swinging, and took her down with ease. I could see Karine Silva doing a little bit better wrestling work, getting into the mat. It's just if she chooses to. Like I don't have enough data on her to know like what her tendencies are yet. You know what I mean? In the UFC, like is she going to stand and just strike with her for a long time and then just like feel like she's like, oh, I keep on hitting this girl's face. Let me keep on striking. I never even have to switch my game plan. Next thing you know, it's halfway through round 2. She's slowing down. Cachoeira is speeding up. Like that worries me in this fight. That kind of dynamic of just seeing. I know what Priscilla Cachoeira is going to do. I don't really know what Karine Silva is going to do. Although I do like the fact, like you said, like her submission potential is good. She switches targets for her submissions a lot, whether it's a leg lock or you know, she'll use the leg lock to get to the back. You know, things like that. I like very much that she's got at least an arsenal of things she can attack. So yeah. I mean, just the principle.
I really like the under. I really like the under 2.5. I think it's a good if you don't have. Yeah, it's well, I got it at minus 150. It might be a little bit higher now. So, I mean, like I said, I think this fight's not going to go to decision. Like, I would be shocked if it does one way or another. I think maybe Silva will start to gas out and Priscilla will land that knockout shot maybe in the late second or early third. But I think it's Silva going to be early and a lot of it.
Yeah, I could even see a ground and pound happening for Karine Silva as well. Like if she, you know, because Cachoeira just cannot get off of her back. So if she gets rained down, ground and pound from Mount, you know, it's either going to be like that 50-50 between is the ref going to stop it from the strikes on top, or is Cachoeira going to roll and expose her neck and get tapped out? So I could see that happening. And you can't go wrong with the under. I mean, the money line is okay on that. Like you can't go wrong with the under 2.5 when you've got one fighter that's gone to scorecards one time out of 19 fights in Karine Silva, right? So. Cachoeira not going to that many herself. I couldn't get there myself just because I could see this go into the scorecards if Cachoeira wins. I think that's really her win condition, right? Is like either a late knockout or she goes to the scorecards. It says the better numbers on the board. So
I mean,
maybe what if Cachoeira wins the decision, like a greasy split decision, and then they award her brown belt in BJJ? Remember when they did that to Ji Yun Kim? Like she got like tripled up on strikes in a slugfest, and then they gave her her purple belt in BJJ after she won.
Yeah,
that was so cringy.
It was bad.
Yeah, so they should upgrade her this time. If she pulls the upset, man, give her a brown belt, no matter what kind of jiu-jitsu she shows. That'd be great. Wasn't there another? There's a couple other spots like that where they gave somebody their belt.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was one Jamal Hill when he won? Maybe not
quite possibly
the championship, but it was one before that or something like that. I can't remember who it was.
Quite possibly. Maybe was it him and Thiago? Maybe
might have been
because there's some grappling there. I know. The one I'm thinking of is Alex Pereira after he knocked out Izzy over 5 rounds. They gave him his belt.
Here's your BJJ belt.
Yeah, they gave him his belt. What's going on, Dev? The dude in the house.
Oh, was it might have been Johnny Walker.
Oh, really?
Against Kutalaba or something when he got that submission or something like that. It might have been. I don't know. It was somebody in the light heavyweight division I'm thinking of.
Somebody wild. I remember, there's another one. I remember Tyron Woodley got his for like he Darce choked somebody and they gave him his black belt in like a horrible performance. But anyways, we're looking at Francis Marshall against William Gomis next. This is one that I feel strongly on again, but like I feel like the money line is about where it should be, maybe slightly more. Francis Marshall coming in here, more of the wrestle boxer type. His boxing looks super improved for a guy that got like over 100 significant strikes in the Contender Series and like a half a dozen takedowns in that performance as well. Very good showing there against somebody who's, Contender Series level, comes into the UFC and knocks out Marcelo Rojo. So, they gave him like an appropriate step in competition from the Contender Series. He handled it appropriately. So I like him for that. I feel like his striking has come a long way since his regional tape. Now, William Gomis, we saw the French fighter here, more of like a kickboxing style, counter strike sometimes, really flashy techniques, not the best boxer with the hands, but I just can't get a read on this guy. Sometimes he's super aggressive. Sometimes he's the counter striker. And then he's fallen in love with his grappling, oddly enough. Like he loves going for takedowns. We saw against Yarno Aarons last time. He gets body lock, trip takedowns pretty easily. Not the best top control, but, you can see him having some sort of like submission like renaissance in his career since his regional tape. So both guys have been improving, but I just feel like the way I put it in my breakdown is like the more useful skills to win a fight in MMA just goes to Francis Marshall. I think his takedowns are better. I like his boxing combinations too. Like I just feel like he's going to do more in this fight, frankly, but he's a minus 200, minus 210 favorite at this point in his second fight when like I really don't know too much about the guy. Like he's a little bit less experienced in his pro record than William Gomis, who's on a 9-fight winning streak. But Gomis, I just can't get a read on him to determine if he sucks or not. So like that's why I'm just at I like what I see from Francis Marshall. I just don't know if Gomis is gonna use his longer striking weapons and pull out like a super aggressive performance. So I don't have any bet on this fight. I'm picking Francis Marshall to win a decision. What do you like about this one at all? Are you more high on William Gomis than I am?
I'm probably just as high as you are on Marshall, and I picked Marshall. So like you said, I think both guys are well rounded. They're both pretty decent wherever the fight goes. But I like Marshall's game a little bit more than Gomis. And the last fight with Gomis, and I don't remember who he fought, and he went to the majority decision. Like it was not a great performance. Like he was very low volume. I didn't like any of that. And Marshall at least impressed me with a couple of his last couple fights that I saw. But this is it's such a weird fight. I don't like the line. I wish it was a little bit closer to a pick'em, even though I do think Marshall is the side, and it's probably set accordingly. The line is, but
yeah, that's the unfortunate.
It's hard. Right?
It's like I wish I had an edge over it.
There is, and I think that's probably why it's a perfectly set line, and you just like I don't know what to do. Maybe the over. Like I like the over. I don't think any of these guys are going to finish each other. I don't know what the over set at. I think it's under 1 or under 200 at least, maybe 175 range or something.
Right now, yeah, we're looking at over 2.5 minus 150.
Okay, that's bad at all. That's something to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder who would get it done. Like you have 6 knockouts out of 11 wins for Gomis. I would see Francis Marshall getting this to the mat and probably getting full hooks in and getting a rear naked choke. He's got a slick back take. I could see
Gomis
that
has pretty
happening.
good grappling though. I think like he's pretty solid everywhere, but he just like to me is not impressive anywhere either. So I'm like, eh. At least Francis, I'm like, his striking looks clean boxing. He's got a pretty decent chin. He took some good shots in his last fight against Rojo. He's got good wrestling and takedowns. I'm like, he's good everywhere too, but he just looks a little bit better, like a little bit shinier than Gomis. So that's why I'm picking him, but I'm gonna stay away from the money lines. I like the over though. That's it. That's about it on this fight.
You brought my attention to something when you said that was a majority decision from William Gomis over Yarno Aarons.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Aarons.
Well, why was that how was that a majority?
He looked, and he was like a huge favorite, if I remember correctly. Like a pretty
I think
good size favorite.
He was sizable. How was that? Oh, that was in Paris, and I'm looking at it right now. One judge scored round 3 a 10-10. Which you never see. Like one guy scored a 10-10. That's the only reason
I didn't know it was a 10-10.
Yeah, he scored a 10-10.
That's funny.
Yeah, when the other two judges scored it, of course, for Aaron's 10-9s, because he ended up getting the reversal, ended up getting like a close to being locked in triangle choke that almost had squeezed his way out of. But yeah, well, that's why it was a majority. So it's kind of like a weird majority. Everybody else really thought it was a 29-28 for him. But hey, what's going on, Jenna? Good to see you in here. It's been a long time.
What's up, Jenna?
It's been since last week, probably. It feels like it's been too long.
Been a while.
Yeah, Effie saying kind of what I thought. Gomis is long as hell. He's 6 foot tall at 145. But yeah, he kind of sucks. So I think you nailed it on the head, Johnny, when you said he's pretty low volume. Like,
yeah,
what did he throw in that fight? Like less than 50 significant strikes in that fight, I want to say?
He was literally just countering the whole time.
32 significant strikes over 15 minutes of a decision in his debut. Like, that's not a debut where you're making a splash. So
yeah. And the way the judges are now, it's like they're favoring that damage.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody that's really strong in the martial side, I think you're on a good path. I just don't think there's a huge edge over the market here, but maybe there's some people that are more confident than we are. But I like the overs. So I think it probably does go over here. It's just, again, like I feel like a broken record saying this, but like Gomis, I just don't know enough about him to judge if he's going to make it all the way through adversity or not. Showed pretty good. Now that we're talking about that triangle that was locked in, squeezing his neck at the end of the fight, he didn't tap to that. So, I guess that goes, in his pro column. But other than that, I want to stay off of this one. So we can move right along to, it doesn't get much less sketchy with this next fight at heavyweight. Muhammad Usman versus Junior Tafa. I'm pretty sure that Junior Tafa is the only fighter on this card that's making their debut. So that's actually kind of a rarity for this card. A lot of these fight night cards, you've got a lot of debutantes. But Junior Tafa, he's coming in here, former glory kickboxer of like 5 or 6 fights, but he's got a pretty big pro kickboxing record. Younger brother of Justin Tafa, who's a UFC fighter, and both guys have trained under Mark Hunt, so who's a legend. So these guys, both of these guys are just iffy. This fight is completely 50-50, minus 110 pick'em price for Mo Usman and Junior Tafa. And again, like Usman, I'm slightly edging Usman just on the principle of the fact that he's like an MMA fighter of 10 professional fights. He has some wrestling in his back pocket. Whether he chooses to use that or not, I don't know. But he barely skated by the Ultimate Fighter in the house. He barely skated by in the finale. Big knockout punch over Zach Pauga after losing round 1. He's a powerful guy, man. But Junior Tafa, I think, has the cleaner striking. It's just, does he have like the MMA skills to win a fight, and like if it goes past round 1, I'm not sure, right? Like we don't really know if he's going to be able to like handle the small gloves, the takedown defense, the striking defense with smaller gloves in this fight. Does he have the power to knock out Mo Usman? I've seen Usman dropped in the PFL, Brandon Sales, who I call Jumbo Chris Weidman, club and subbed him basically. Like he knocked him down twice and then club and subbed him. But yeah, do you like? There's something in the back of my mind that's just a gut feeling I can't prove. I feel like him winning the Ultimate Fighter and being all geeked about that knockout, like maybe that will get him into like full gear of like, okay, I'm really in the UFC now. I should be training down at Fortis and like getting some good rounds in with good fighters, learning how to not just be so hesitant and let his hands go. Junior Tafa, I feel like is completely knockout or bust here, but we've at least seen Usman go to the scorecards. What do you think about this fight, man? It's like the lowest confidence pick on Usman. I kind of I'd rather see him get knocked out in this fight, to be honest.
Well, this is like one of my lowest confidence picks as well. And I'm going with Tafa. So You said it basically exactly what I'm gonna say. Like Tafa, I mean, I like his striking more. Obviously, he's more technical, but he's only got 4 fights in MMA. He's got a lot of boxing and like Muay Thai fights and kickboxing fights or whatever. But it's just if Usman tries to go for that takedown, like what's gonna happen? He's gonna probably get taken down, and then but is Usman's cardio gonna hold up if he goes for wrestling? We don't know that. So it's like there's a lot of after a question, there's an answer, but then there's another question for each of
Yeah,
these guys. You can try to play it out in your mind a 10 or 100 times, but you'll find new questions every time you play it out. So
truly.
to me,
Yeah.
like it's just whatever you think is gonna happen. And I'm just gonna go with Tafa. I'm going with the striker who's the more technical guy. He probably doesn't have as much power as Usman, but he is a powerful guy. He's a bigger dude too. So I mean, Usman to me, like he's losing until he's not, basically. So I don't like to back fighters like that. So give me. I'm rolling the dice with Tafa here. Like I'm staying away from every bet possible on this fight. I'm just gonna watch it and see where we're at with both these guys, though.
Yeah, and there's like even you brought up like how big Tafa is. Like there's been like conflicting tail of the tapes. Every like I watched all of his MMA fights, or I think 3 out of the 4 I could find. I watched a lot of his kickboxing fights, and it's like the guy has been billed as 6'5". He's been billed at like 6'2". He's been
Hmm.
as heavy as 270, and his last fight was in Risen against a former sumo wrestler that he was able to knock out, and he weighed in at 108.75 kg, so that's like roughly 240. So that was the last recorded weight for Junior Tafa, and they billed him as 6'3". So we'll go
Okay.
with that. But I can't wait to see the scales for this fight to see what these guys weigh, because Usman's a guy
Yeah.
who, he's on the lighter side. He last weighed in at 236.5 against Zach Pauga. So yeah, I mean, these guys have a lot of weight to build into at heavyweight. There's just a lot of questions to be answered. Not something you really want to be
Yeah.
backing.
There's just
What I
too many
did,
question
what I
marks.
did like initially is I saw some books that open up like the knockout for Muhammad Usman at plus 350. If you ever got in on that, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Now the problem is he could just stand there and not do anything. That's a possibility with Mo Usman.
Or
But at least
try to
for
wrestle for a round and then get
yeah,
gassed out. Like
but at least for
there's so
yeah,
many
it's
questions.
it's crazy here. So this is just a completely 50-50 fight. If you're strong on a side, I see some people strong on the Junior Tafa side. I'd love to know why. I mean, I guess you've seen better combat sports from Junior Tafa if you include his kickboxing than you've seen from Mo Usman, who's dropped fights to Dontel Mays. Johnny, your favorite fighter, Dontel Mays, he
Oh
dropped
my
too.
god.
So,
That's my guy, dude.
but I think Mushroom said it best when he said B-side brothers. Right here, these guys are not their brothers. Well, Junior Tafa might be as talented as Justin. Justin's not that great, so you never know. We'll see where it goes. But
True.
but yeah, Anthony in the house saying Usman's the kind of guy to get slept on his first sloppy takedown attempt against a kickboxer. I'm not touching this fight.
Yeah,
I could not
exactly.
agree more. One of those, that scenario played out in my head as well.
Yeah, it's you can every time you run it back and you play it out, you're like, "Oh, this could happen actually. Oh, well, what if this happens? Oh, this is gonna happen maybe. Oh, well, it's too crazy to even think about."
Even the over unders for this fight, like I don't like a whole lot,
Is it
just
two and a
because
half
I think it's
or
one and a
one?
half. I think it's 1.5 because I don't think Tafa's
Almost.
been over 1.5, right?
I
So
don't
let's
know.
see here. I'm looking it up right
That
now.
that would make sense if it's a 1.5
Yeah,
because
under 1.5 is minus 103, over 1.5 minus 127 on Bet Online right now. Yeah, I mean, there's no
once
way Mo Usman can just stand there. He's not going to contribute to that happening in any way, unless my theory is true and he starts letting his hands go more now that he's kind of like in the UFC officially after the Ultimate Fighter
true.
winning. But yeah, nothing to really go crazy over. Fight goes to the decision. No is minus 325. So,
That's not
that's
bad for a parlay
probably
piece.
probably likely. But again, there's just not a lot of data on this. I would recommend just avoiding this fight altogether and just hoping something cool happens and watch it
Yeah.
as a fan. So we can move right along to a rare sighting, a women's featherweight fight. We don't see a lot of these anymore. So 145 between Norma Dumont and Carol Hosa. Hosa is the one moving up. She has been at featherweight in the past and a lot of like 140 catch weights in her pre-UFC past, but never in the UFC. So she's moving up to take on Norma Dumont, who's kind of like the poster child for why there is a featherweight division. Like she's missed weight so many times at bantamweight that you just get banished to that upper weight class. So again, pick 'em fight right here. It's like minus 110 either way. There might be some books with slight positives going either direction. Johnny, kick us off, man. What do you think about this fight?
Okay.
Who's winning this one?
Ooh, so this is a close fight, but I'm a little more confident than I probably should be that Norma's going to win this fight. I'm just more impressed with her. I think she's a little like I know both are well-rounded, but I think Norma's the more well-rounded fighter. But I would give the slight edge to striking to Rosa just because of her volume. But Norma's pretty good striker, but grappling and wrestling, I think Norma all day because once Rosa gets taken down, like she does not have a good get up game at all, and she literally gets controlled all the time. So to me, this is like, and as you said, it's a featherweight fight. I just found this out as well last night, so I'm really liking Norma even more because she's been at featherweight before. She's already strong and powerful for a fighter in the bantamweight division. So in the featherweight division, she's going to be the more physical girl, and she can get those takedowns in the clinch, I think, too. So I think for Hosa to win, she needs to outstrike Norma for 3 rounds, and for Norma to win, she needs to mix in some takedowns and work her striking, and just do a little bit of both, and I think she'll win. So I think Norma's going to have more success doing that than Hosa. So that's my angle. I love the over as a parlay piece. None of these girls are finishers whatsoever. So give me the over, and I'll just sit back and hope there's no finish.
Yeah, right. Because Norma's only been finished one time in her debut against Megan Anderson,
Mhm.
and then I believe Carol Hosa. I think she's been subbed a couple times, right, in her past. Let's see
Yeah,
here. We're
and
looking at
Norma's more
we're good.
so like a ground and pound, like just
Right,
position over submission.
dude. Norma's mainly a boxer, and she just fought the boxer Danielle Wolf, and
Yeah.
you would have hoped that she could have handled Danielle Wolf accordingly. Like if she didn't get knocked out, she could take.
She
I mean, she did.
dropped her a couple times, right? Or at
Yeah,
least
yeah, and
once.
that was the crazy part. Is like you were hoping that she would at least handle like a boxer with a 1-0, 2-0 record appropriately, and she did.
Mhm.
She put hands on her, showed some power. But again, it's like a boxer. It's like what do you draw from that? Really, her. Then what was the fight before that? Was the fight before that the Macy Chiasson one where she got like cage controlled and taken down a bunch?
Yeah.
Frustrating. So yeah,
Macy's a big, big girl though.
I like your yeah. I mean, she is one of those. Again, Macy Chiasson's one where banished to that featherweight division. I mean, who was in that division? It's like we got Josie Nunez, that were like 5 foot tall featherweight, right? Like we got her. We got
I have no idea who's in
the
there
girl
other
she just
than
fought, Zaren Dos Santos. We got um,
I think there's literally like
Eileen
two
Perez,
women.
who's like fairly new. Chelsea Chandler, I think. Yeah, so there's like 8 people maybe tops, and like half of them it's just because they missed weight. So
That's 6 more than I know.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and Amanda Nunes, I guess the champion.
Oh yeah, well,
You count her.
I consider her just bantamweight champion. There should not be a belt for featherweight.
Right.
Wait till she like retires. There's not going to be a featherweight division unless the UFC
Yeah.
really tries to take away all the PFL women.
Yeah. So my take on this fight is, it's not that different than yours. I do favor Carol Hosa just because I think she's the better, like just minute winner in the fight. Like she puts
Mhm.
up so many significant strikes in fights that I can't overlook that. Her takedowns have been pretty good as well, but it is scaring me off of a bet on this fight is the fact that like you mentioned, like if Carol Hosa does get taken down or reversed, I think Norma is just too physical to get from underneath of. So Norma's boxing is pretty good too. She can land like the more eye-catching shots for whatever that is worth. But I think Carol is just a better, like, well-rounded fighter here, and she could just do more. But again, the weigh-ins I want to see too, because maybe a featherweight version of Carol Hosa is not that different in size than Norma Dumont. Who knows?
True.
But Norma's pretty big. She's pretty physical, and if she gets on top, I think she should be able to ride out the rest of that round. So yeah, I mean, where does Carol Hosa ever really struggled? She struggled against Sarah McMahon, right? Is that her only loss so
Mhm.
far? And that was frustrating, right? Like she got taken down, and then in round 3, she finally like does some damage to her, and then decides to dive onto the ground again and not finish Sarah McMahon in her only shot at winning that fight. Very
Yeah.
frustrating, but besides that,
And
she's
yet,
been pretty solid.
like, and I'm not saying Norma has a better track record for her fights, but I mean, the last few fights that Host is winning is Lena Landsberg, Beth
Yeah, old.
Courier or whatever, and
And
then
Betchko had
Jocelyn Edwards
her retirement fight as well for
and
Betchko Hand. So
The great Jocelyn Edwards.
yeah, Jocelyn Edwards, she was just able to take her down in that fight. So yeah,
So
you're right. There's a lot to prove here. New weight class, another sketchy. I hate saying this with all these fights, but man, it's another
it
sketchy
is.
fight. I don't want to
That,
bet on, and it's a pick 'em price
but
tag. So
but the angle is the over or fight goes the distance because it's gonna happen like 9 out of 10 times. I'd be
it's
shocked if
like
there's a finish in this fight.
minus a million, though, isn't it?
That's not too bad. I think the
What is it?
over 2.5 is
Minus
like
300, something like that?
-350.
Jesus Christ.
Probably fight goes a distance is -300, but that's a perfect parlay piece. Perfect.
My God. Yeah, you are the king of parlays, man. And I tried. I made an homage to you last week. That's how bad
Yeah,
my luck was last week.
did you have what did you have do you have over 1.5 or something with Algio?
What killed it was that one because he got the finish.
I had the same thing too, man. I lost that one. Sucked.
God damn. Yeah, Anthony W., you are right, my friend. They are very sketchy in here. Mushroom saying Norma by a badonkadonk. That's probably the best prediction you could have.
I wish I would have got Norma at like plus 130 or whatever it was started at. I feel more confident, but now it's a pick 'em. I'm like, I'm just gonna stay away.
Yeah, man. If Mushroom's betting Dumont by badonkadonk, he might cash that bet come weigh-ins. He might cash it the day before the fights. And a guy who loves beer, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you in here. Hope you're having a good time as we move on to the next. Again, just to clarify, I'm on Carol Hosa. Not confident. I'm just slightly more confident.
Are we going to do a shoey bet? Is that what it is? Do you want to do a shoey bet on this one?
No, I'm sure there's going to be another spot in here we can do a shoey bet, but that I'm more than 50% confident in. But
I am 50% confident.
This is like slightly above confident of Muhammad Usman. So hopefully we get to a more confident.
I'm not touching that fight. I'm more confident in this fight than that one.
The bantamweight clash we're about to talk about now between Montel Jackson and Ronnie Yahya. Is that what you're more confident in?
Ooh, I'm confident in this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in this one as well. Maybe not minus 600 confident.
No, I'm not that confident.
Minus 650 confident, which I'm seeing the money line is for Montel Jackson. Ronnie Yahya could be head around plus 420, plus 430, somewhere in that range. On a lot of books here. Ronnie Yahya has just been around too long, man. Just a complete submission specialist, international Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, long before his WEC career even happened. So that tells you how long ago that was. But the guy, man, he's been off for a while, like a year and a half. But even in his last fight against, I think it was Kyung-Oh Kang, he went in there and was able to just show like why this guy is a specialist. Like even if you throw like a low leg kick on him, like you try to kick his calf, he's taking you to the mat somehow, getting you in an arm triangle attempt. Like the guy is actually really slick with his, I don't even know if you call it wrestling, but like him just grabbing a limb and just, a wet blanketing you as small as he is. That's on the table here, like that's going to be a danger for Montel Jackson, who has good jiu-jitsu himself. Jackson's not that bad on the ground, but he does not want to get takedowns or try that BJJ game here because it's just going to end up poorly for him. If he doesn't get tapped out, he could lose a decision based on control time if things go worst case scenario for Montel Jackson. But I think best case and most likely case for Montel is he just gets a knockout at some point in this fight. He's got those giant weapons. He's like 5'10", 5'11" for 135. Ronnie Yahya, not the most durable. And yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. It's like Montel Jackson's got like 9 recorded knockdowns in his fights so far in the UFC. A lot of them on the part of Jesse Strader and JP Blaydes. But does he have just enough power in his hands, Johnny, to just like knock somebody down but not finish them? Like,
it seems like it.
Like, how does he not finish these fights? But
I was thinking, I was talking to Mike Couch Warrior last night about it, and I was like, I feel like he just doesn't have that killer instinct when he gets the knockdowns. Like a lot of guys just go for it and like they just keep going and going and going until the ref stops it. I think he just like gets the knockdown. He's like, all right, get back up. Let's go. Come on. I'm sorry. Let's go. Like one of those things. So it's really weird that he has 9 knockdowns and like
this is a
2
fight.
knockouts.
Yeah, and this is a fight where the guy is going to be tempted to do that, right? Like if he knocks down Ronnie Yahya is going to fall to his back for anything and just invite him into his guard and hope that he follows him to the ground. So that actually might work out in Montel Jackson's favor here, like not going to the mat and having that killer instinct. Otherwise, he'd get wrapped up in something or reversed. But the only thing that's sticking on the page is like minus 130, minus 135 for Montel by knockout. That's sticking off the page.
I don't like that.
Maybe throw on that. What do you? No,
I don't like it. No.
What's your issue? You think a decision? What do you want?
I think this goes to decision. Like Ronnie Yahya's never been finished or knocked out, at least in the UFC. It's been a long time. And I know he's old. He's 38 years old. He's getting up there. But man, I think this is going to be a slow-paced fight. Yahya is going to try to wait for the perfect time to shoot those takedowns. And Montel is more than okay with taking his time. We've seen it in a lot of his last couple fights, at least. He's not the guy that likes to push forward. He's more so the counter striker, and he's got a longer reach, so he's going to wait for the perfect time. And this might be a very slow fight. And like I said, I just don't think Montel has that killer instinct. And watching his fights against JP Blaydes isn't a good look. Couple other ones. Arce, like that was a good fight, very close fight until he started to get that one knockdown, and then Arce kind of like I don't want to say he looked a little different after that knockdown, but before that, like Arce was looking really good. So, do I think Jackson wins? Yes, but I think this goes to decision or at least over 2.5. And I think like I haven't put a bet on this, though. I know it's plus money, but I'm really thinking, I think it's like plus 140 range or something, over 2.5.
Looking at over 2.5 plus 155. Fight goes the full distance plus 175.
I think it's a little sneaky play. Like I wonder what fight to start round 3 would be. I think it's still probably plus money.
And then if you think Jackson wins, BetOnline's got Jackson by points plus 225. Let's see what DraftKings says. Let's see if it's any better. I bet you could build a crazy same game parlay on DraftKings with like Montel Jackson to win by decision. He has like a knockdown or
over 1.5 rounds.
Yeah, like you get some crazy, like just chop that minus 560 down.
Yeah, he can probably get one knockdown over 1.5. Montel Jackson to win, and like something one more crazy thing you can do, and it's probably going to be like plus 700.
Yeah, look out for the MMA engine. Like our guy Lou Betya doing the same game parlay show either tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see here. Fight to start round 3 plus 120.
It's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
I'm really thinking about that one actually.
Yeah, we'll see here. And Justin Giagos always leaving crazy comments in the chats, and we can get a super heavyweight women's division. Trying to imagine women like addicted to combat body, but very long hair. It's like Hogan's Gabby Garcia. Oh my god, that'd be terrifying. That'd be horrifying. I'd love to see it though. I've been rallying for a women's super heavyweight division for a long time. I cannot wait. I've actually been recruiting too, going to Walmart, going to the Waffle House parking lot, just recruiting for like the biggest.
You don't have a Waffle House up there.
The biggest, baddest female fighter. No, it was George Webb. You call my bluff.
I got you. I know where you live. There's no Waffle Houses by us until we go like 10 hours south.
Yeah.
To Cody Land.
Yeah, Cody Land. Yeah, we'll have to go visit him at some point. Find some super heavyweights.
Yeah, we could do like the whiskey tour thing.
Yeah, do the bourbon trail.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're both easily on Montel Jackson. Man, yeah, I saw some other people on Twitter like on that Jackson.
A lot of people are on like inside the distance. I see a ton of people on that. I'm like, I don't know. I can't jump on that. I really can't.
Yeah, we'll see. Ronnie Yahya's got a way of just being like Gumby and just bouncing off of shit and surviving. So we can move on to another sketchy fight here.
Low volume, yeah.
Yeah, the next fight is a little bit sketchy. Again, a guy coming off of a long layoff like Ronnie Yahya. This is Ricky Glenn at lightweight coming off of a 1.5 year long layoff, taking on Christos Giagos, who we've seen in the UFC several times now. Always overlooked and underrated, in my opinion. But Ricky Glenn could be kind of put in that category too. Glenn's got really slick kickboxing and good traditional boxing as well. Not bad on the ground, and he's always had solid takedown defense, but even better than that, like his get-up game has always been really good too. Christos Giagos is a guy who he's got good grappling, but they're always putting this guy against killers, dude. Like he hasn't been able to show a good skill set in a while because he's taken on Thiagos Moises in his last fight, got rear naked choked in round 1. Armin Sarukian before that, grounded, pounded out, knocked out in round 1. A couple of wins before that, but then Drakkar closed, Charles Oliveira, who he actually looked really good against Charles back in the day as well. So, the guy's had a handful of fights. He's beaten all of the guys that like aren't ever going to be ranked in the division or like ever heard it or seen from again. But all the guys that are hanging around, like good contenders, they're
killers.
Yeah. So that's why in this fight, like I actually am on the Giagos side, but he's so hittable. He's so hittable in round 1 that bothers me. As the fight goes down the stretch, he can be a little bit lower output. That bothers me. But just on like the terms of him now switching camps and going to Killcliff FC, I like that. Ricky Glenn coming off of another, like, I think it was because he had a hip surgery is why he didn't fight from 2019 to like 2021. And now he's been out again because of another like injury, probably related to that. So, just narrative wise, like I just don't see things getting better for Ricky Glenn, but I feel like I could see things getting better for Giagos here, who could probably end up finding a way to ground this fight. So Nothing I want to bet though. Like, he's not a big enough underdog where I want to bet it. I think I missed the line. Giagos was like around plus 180, plus 170. Now he's down. So nothing I want to jump on too much. Giagos is around. Oh man, there's been a lot of money on him. Plus 135 for Christos Giagos. Rick Glenn now minus 165. Yeah, I just missed the line on this. So I'm not going to really touch this one. Don't know really what I'm getting with Rick Glenn here. He could look like the Rick Glenn of the peak of his career, right? Just keep on landing volume as the fight goes on, but he could fall off of a cliff here and lose. Whose side are you on? Any bets on this fight?
Yeah, actually, I like Glenn a lot. Maybe like a 7 like rating and enough to bet him. I wasn't gonna touch him at the opening line. I think he was a little bit above minus 200 too. I'm like, I like him, but not that much. But then I saw the line go down, down, down. And I'm like, you know what? Minus 175. I'm okay with that. I'll put him in a parlay. But I think he's the better fighter. I'm not really too impressed with Christian. I know he's fought killers and lost pretty convincing, like pretty bad, if you want to say. But he's also beat some guys pretty good too. Like, but they're just low level. Like they're not even in the UFC anymore. So it's really hard. He's not fighting those middle level guys. And this is a good test for him. But I just don't like what I see, even in the wins against those guys that he has. Like they're not very impressive to me. He has good wrestling and takedowns, but if the longer the fight goes, he slows down. I don't like his striking. His striking defense isn't that great. Ricky Glenn, on the other hand, I like his striking. I think it's better. I like his grappling. Takedown defense, maybe not so much, but his cardio is the big key here because I think he can win in the third round if Christos tries to keep going and going and going and just doesn't get anything going. But Ricky Glenn just seems to get stronger as the fight goes on. If you look back in the Dawson fight, that's like one of the things I'm going back because Dawson looked really good in the first 2 rounds and then he was like done. And then Glenn just took over and he looked like he could fight another 3 or 4 rounds. Like that's how good a cardio he has. So if this fight stays on the feet, it's Glenn all day. But I just don't see Christos, I'm sorry. Just wrestling for 3 rounds. I don't see he can do that. Maybe 1 round, but not all 3. So I think Glenn will win. It'll probably be either a late knockout by Glenn or a pretty 29-28 close decision. But I still think Glenn gets it done. So I put him in a parlay with somebody coming up here shortly. Okay. So pretty confident.
Pretty confident in the Glenn side. Yeah, especially when you look at the striking defense lacking of Christos Giagos. That's the part that really scares me off of a bet here at this line. I am anticipating like a lesser Ricky Glenn, but that's just all speculation. And I'm anticipating a better version of it. I think there's more to see from Giagos. Not only like a camp switch, but just like we were talking about, like the lack of middle ground between the people he's fighting in the UFC. Like it's either just a complete tomato can or it's somebody really, really good that's going to contend for the title at some point.
I mean, they're both the same age, approximately 34 and 33. So
that's another thing. Yeah, that's another. It's
they're
like
really
the
close.
The years of Ricky Glenn. Like he's more than 34. Like that guy's been fighting for a long, long time. A lot of places. World Series of Fighting featherweight champion. I want to say like one class below where he's at now. So. Yeah, he's been around for a long, long time. So no wonder he's got like some injuries popping up. I think he owns his own gym as well. He coaches at, so that's probably where he's training at primarily too.
Yeah.
I know we didn't see Christos Giagos supposed to fight, I think Benoit Saint Denis back in the fall, but
destroyed.
There was a weird thing that came out about Christos Giagos. Like he had a hand injury, so you'd assume he broke his hand, but he like cut his grill while like cleaning it by the toilet or something weird. Like he put out like some weird thing. He's like, I was cleaning part of my grill and it cut me, and like I think his hand slipped off the grill and like cut himself on the toilet. It was something really weird. Should look into it, but it was like the weirdest. Like it was the weirdest reason to get out of fighting Benoit Saint Denis. So
I mean, I would try anything too. That guy's a killer.
Anthony asking what we're sipping on. You said you had some Bushmills, right?
Yeah, some little Bushmills old fashioned.
Yeah, I got an old fashioned with some Whistle Pig straight rye, some 10-year.
I need to get some bourbon. I like bourbon better with old fashions, but that's all I had at the moment.
Yeah, I'll do an Irish every now and then.
Yeah.
Mushrooms spitting off some Snoop Doggy Dogg. Laid back. Dude, that's what it's like every week, man. That's like when the prelims are about to start happening. It's like mind up my money, got my money on my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the first one,
then I lose every confident bet like last week. Yeah, I'm sipping on that gin and juice, and then I see Roy Val go in there and just get a lead knee knocked right on my boy's chin. Oof.
Two of my bets and picks like lost by that lead knee. I'm like, mother effer, dude.
Wild. Like we knew that was a possibility, but it was still like the lowest. Like that was like a 25% chance that was going to happen, and sure enough, it happened. So, what are you going to do here? So, yeah, I'll be rooting for you on your Ricky Glenn bet since I'll be off of this one. I think I missed that line on Giagos, but
I don't mind anybody getting like the plus one
underdog.
Yeah, plus 185 range. If you got that early, like that's a good bet. But
yeah, no other
I waited.
Really
I waited till it was down a little bit farther before I got Glenn.
But we got.
I do think it's going to be close.
Yeah, it should be. We got the main card up next.
Okay.
Jeremiah Wells versus Matthew Semelsberger. This is probably one of my favorite fights of the entire card, as a lot of people are. Two heavy hitters at 170. Got Jeremiah Wells, who's another one of these even money plays, but money's coming in on him in a lot of books. He's like a minus 120. Matt Semelsberger about a minus 105. And it's like a war going on between who likes who in this fight. I found myself on the Semelsberger side, and I probably will end up betting this. I haven't bet it yet. Now that the money's moved, not that the money really changed that much. It's only down a couple of cents. But the more I look at this fight, the more I see that it's kind of just like a puncher's chance for Jeremiah Wells. A very good puncher's chance. But what have we seen from this guy in the UFC so far? Like he came in here on short notice and had a great debut against Warley Alves, who's got a lot of miles on him. Early into round 2, like 30 seconds into round 2. Then he faces Blood Diamond, Mike Mathitha. Supposed to walk through that guy. He did. He got the rear naked choke finally at the end of round 1. Then he takes on Court McGee, who's, super old as well. And fair play, like the only other guy to knock out Court McGee was Ponce Nibio. But he did send Court McGee like into the grave in that fight. Yeah, into the shadow. Like if you were to show that clip to somebody, be like, hey, dude, this is the first death in the UFC. They'd be like, oh, yeah, no, they wouldn't even question it. They'd be like, yeah, that guy died. But besides that, like, has he been extended in many fights? Like the only fights I've seen him in the previous fights in like the CES promotion, like there's been some 5-round fights where the last one he was in, he lost because he couldn't get the knockout. He just kind of stood there and stared after he couldn't get that big blow in like round 2 or 1, right? So Semelsberger is a guy who continues to, not only did he get like knockdowns in round 1 against Jake Matthews, did in round 2, round 3. This guy's like going to war against guys like even Morono. He's losing the fight. He hurts him in round 3, almost finishes the fight. So he's a guy who can rally back when it gets tough, and he can put up points on the board. He's got a lot of nice straight punches. Like his nice straight right is the money maker, whereas it's like the 1-2 short left hook that really gets people for Jeremiah Wells. So I just feel like he's going to land on his target a lot more. Big chance he gets knocked out here, but I think there's a bigger chance he could win this fight, in multiple ways. So I'm on the Matt Semelsberger side pretty confidently at this point.
Okay.
At least more confidently than the 50-50 money line. Like I'd line this like 65-35 in favor of Semelsberger. Where are you at on this one?
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a very close fight. I ended up going with Wells. I think he's just a little bit more well-rounded, but I do worry about his cardio after like a round and a half. Like we just haven't really seen him past that point. And we've seen Matthew Semelsberger, like, he does slow down as the fight goes on, but at least he's doing it. He's doing his thing. He's trying his best. Like, but he's also like a wild card. Like, he looked amazing against Jake Matthews. Like, one of the best UFC fighters you can think of, if you want to say. But then he's fighting, Alex Morono, for example, or AJ Fletcher was a very close fight too, and I think that was AJ Fletcher's UFC debut or something like that. And then Chaos Williams is pretty good. Like I'm sure he was scared of his power, which I would be too. But I mean, he's just so up and down. Like it's hard to trust him to pick him either. But you see Jeremiah Wells going in there doing his thing. Like I know they're not against amazing guys either, but he does have really good grappling and wrestling too. I mean, he showed a little bit against Blood Diamond, but it's not a good example, but it's pretty good. So, but my thing is the cardio thing. Is this fight going to go over 1.5 rounds? I don't know. And that's what scares me. And that's why I'm like 50-50. I'd be more confident if Wells was more so like if he went to decision a couple more times, but he's been to decision before in the past, but just not lately. He's getting up there in age. He's about 37 36, I think. Let me look real quick.
He is. And what's up, Shady? I can see where this is going too. He says, I mentioned the bums that Wells beat. Yeah, there's some bums that freaking Semelsberger beat too. We're looking at Martin Sano. Looking at the other guy he beat, Carlton Minus. Who's the other guy I'm missing here? I'm missing one, right? I'm missing Jason Witt, who's chinny as hell as well. He beat him in 16 seconds. So that's why I was kind of skeptical about him, like going into the Jake Matthews fight. I'm like, how much power does Matt Semelsberger really have? Like, he's knocked out a few people, but he's the most chinniest of guys ever. And then he goes in there and shows that he's got knockout power early and late as well. So, yeah, there are a couple bumps in these guys' records, but I see some. Yeah, I see some upside for Semelsberger here.
It's a really tough fight to call, though. Like I said, I'm going with Wells. I just think like striking, like he has that explosive, dangerous power to knock out Semelsberger, and I think he has the grappling and wrestling advantage. So I think Semelsberger is probably going to want to keep it on the feet and keep his distance. Play it safe if you want to say, and look for that straight down the middle when Wells comes in aggressive. That's going to be his best way to win. But other than that, I mean, I like Wells a little bit, just a touch more.
Okay.
And I can never pick Semelsberger to save my life either. So I'll throw that out there as well.
Yeah, and we're looking at Jeremiah Wells to win by knockout in round 1 plus 650. Just him by KO. Just him by KO in general on DraftKings is plus 333. I know
Jeremiah Wells has never been finished either, just so you know.
I know he's got this submission. I know he's got this submission game that's like high level. I feel like he's fallen in love with his striking quite a bit, and he's very explosive early. But do you really? I mean, what are the chances this guy wins a decision? Like, if this goes to the scorecards, do you favor one guy over the other?
Semelsberger.
Yeah.
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 So I mean, I think in my prediction, I think I said Wells by like first or second round knockout.
Yeah, so it could be a live betting spot too if you're able to live bet during this, and you see, you could just wait, and then if Jeremiah Wells like touches the chin of Semelsberger, knocks him out, you've avoided losing it. If you're on the side of Semelsberger like I am, or he knocks down Matt Semelsberger, busts up his chin or something like that, and then gasses himself out. It goes to the in between rounds. You could then jump off the train and get on the Semelsberger big plus money in between rounds, and I think he will take over if this fight goes to decision. So that's where I'm at with this one. Just more ways to win.
Is the over set at 1.5?
Yeah, it's over 1.5 in this one. Let's see what the odds are at. We're looking at Matthew Semelsberger, Jeremiah Wells over 1.5 minus 175. So, I mean, pushing towards like this could possibly be an over under at 2.5. Once you start getting like too skewed in one direction.
Yeah.
But I think it was closer when the lines dropped. Okay. So.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I like the over 1.5 a little bit more, maybe, but I would just stay away.
I just think it correlates to the fighter mostly. Like, I feel like either guy could finish this, but it's more likely Wells is going to be the one that has to get it done early.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're not too far apart on like what could possibly happen here, but I am on that Semelsberger side. I haven't put a bet down on it yet, but when I drop my best bets and props, of course, I'll show everything I bet and I'll see if I got on that or not. But did you say you have something on this one or no?
No, I got nothing. I'm going to stay away. Just in general. I can just see a lot of stuff happening too. It's one of those fights where both guys can get knockouts, both guys can get decisions maybe, or a submission thrown in there. Who knows? So over unders are weird. It's just one of those spots where I'm like, I don't have a good confident bet, so I'm just gonna stay away.
Not bad. What's up? Going on, Cucumbers? Aaron late boys. I was cutting firewood. Happy to be with you too, man.
Nice.
You're doing some manly stuff out there, man. Cutting firewood. I like to hear it. Getting that exercise in. So good to have you, Cucumber. We can move on further up the main card. We have Yasmin Lucindo taking on Brogan Walker Sanchez at women's 115. Like, I love Yasmin Lucindo. Like, I like her fight with Yasmin Howergy last time out, and that was
very good fight.
If you didn't have David Onama and Nate Landwehr on that UFC San Diego card, that would have been fight of the night because that was amazing.
Oh yeah,
for two debuting fighters. But as such, they're giving her a lot of respect in the money line. She's a crazy big favorite. We're looking at Yasmin Lucindo minus 340, the favorite over Brogan Walker plus 280. So there's a lot going on here, right? Like, Lucindo had a really good fight against a girl who's really a good prospect right now in her last fight. Brogan Walker, she lost to somebody as runner-up on The Ultimate Fighter last August, got TKO'd in round 3, taken down at every opportunity from Juliana Miller, and she just lost in her last fight badly. So there's like this chain of like command that's just going down to being baked into these odds. I think it's made the line a lot too wide, right? Because like Brogan Walker doesn't look great. I feel like her experience is very good, but her better days maybe are behind her at this point.
Yeah.
Lucindo, though, I mean, she's like super young and unproven. No matter how good she's looked, like she's got good striking, very aggressive, hits hard. If she takes it to the mat, she's got very good ground game as well. But minus 340, I mean, we're like, where are we getting this number from?
Yeah.
Like minus 340 for a women's fight, like you would have to know without a doubt that she's going to finish the fight inside the distance, probably, right?
Yeah, I think she can actually.
She can, but yeah, okay. I feel like she can, but like you'd have to know for sure.
I don't know for sure, but I'm really looking at knockout.
This would have to be like an MMA Jesus Dev the Dude lock for this to be minus 340.
Yeah, and you know what? This is like one of my, I would maybe say my top confident pick of the night, though. I think Lucindo is way better than Walker in every facet of grappling, wrestling, striking, especially striking. Power, she got the power, I think, too. I'm just not impressed with Walker. I mean, she's getting up there in age. She's 33 years old, and I think she is technically making her UFC debut. And losing to Juliana Miller, not a good look. Lucindo, I know she's 21. She can make some mistakes, but she can make mistakes in this fight and still be okay because Walker's not dangerous, like at all. And wherever this fight goes, I think Lucindo's going to be better, even grappling. And I think Walker's known to be a grappler. So, yeah, I just don't see how Lucindo loses this one. I can actually see a knockout as well. And a knockout prop, I believe, is plus 350 if I saw that correctly, I think today. And it's not that bad. I think she can get it later in the fight, second round, third round knockout, just kind of like she did against Juliana Miller, or Juliana Miller did to Walker. But I just really, really think Lucindo is way better. Now, if she loses, she loses. It's women's MMA. We know it's been crazy all year, and the dogs have been hitting like crazy. But for some reason, like a lot of the women's fights, like this card, I'm like, boom, I like, like immediate, and it never happens either, too. So
yeah,
I like Lucindo a lot. It's probably my most confident pick of the night.
Yeah, we're looking at, I'm not far off from you. We're looking at Lucindo, by knockout plus 350. We're looking at inside the distance plus 180, sub plus
I don't think she'll get the sub. I think she's better to get the knockout.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an issue if she goes to the grappling more, is because Brogan Walker she's had to prove it on a few occasions, but she is a black belt in BJJ. She's got pretty good defensive positions. Now, if she gets punched in the face and then locked up in a choke, that could change things. But overall, yeah, I'm on your side. I think Lucindo should win. It's just I'm shocked by the number. Like minus 340 is egregious on somebody so green in the sport and so new in their MMA career. Now, I think what leads to that number also, not only like all of the MMA math of who beat who recently between the two of them, but I think also the fact that she had like a 0% takedown defense in her last fight. I think that's going to lead to hopefully getting this off of the feet and more of a, the dominant position for Lucindo. Like she can just ride out control time and ground strikes and have a more dominant decision, if not finish the fight. So, yeah.
And if you're into conspiracy theories, like why do you think Lucindo's on the main card? It's like a showcase fight for her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it should be. I never even questioned where this fight was on the card.
Like, why is it on the main card? You would never why?
She got rewarded. Yeah, she got rewarded for her good work on the main card.
It's a showcase fight for her. They set her up against a fighter that should lose. Like, I mean, Lucindo can lose. I mean, she could have a bad night. She's young. She can make a mistake, something like that. But they're doing this for a reason. Like, that's why I think the line's set the way it is. I just don't see how she loses. I really went through this like a lot. Well, it would just be like a banana peel type of thing, or like a Shevchenko mistake, and then a Grasso gets the submission real quick. Something like crazy like that to lose.
Yeah, and she's not a complete finisher. Like she's been to decision quite a few times, like 5 times she's been to the scorecard. So
yeah, she's not like a Silva,
not a total gas bag either, right? Yeah. I see Thomas in the house. What's up, Thomas? Saying we have good strikers in France, but the ground game not that developed. Kind of going back to that William Gomis fight.
Are you talking about Gan?
Yeah, talking about Gan. Yeah, we just saw that happen. Man. Jesus. What's going on, Michael? Good to see you. He says, sorry, I'm late, boys. Just finished up my open heart surgery. Hey, there we go. No offense, but Juliana Miller is a bum. He's saying you're spot on with that. Yeah, that's probably leading into the this line being so big as well. We just saw Brogan Walker look terribly slow. terribly like low output, no takedown defense. So yeah, I'm on your side here. I'm just shocked by the number. I just don't really know how to attack this. Do you have a bet on this one?
Yeah, I put her in a parlay with Silva. And then I'm really looking at that knockout prop just to throw like a little, maybe like a little fun bet on it or something, or put that in like my little like round robin parlay thing that I like to do every card.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it hit. It's a good chance of hitting.
Yeah, and round three, like I think she's like plus 1,200 or something round three.
Sheesh.
And that's where we saw Brogan Walker get TKO'd last time, finally in round 3. So we can see that happen, but could move along. I am excited to see Yasmin Lucindo because we saw in the subsequent fight, Yasmin Howerkey, her last opponent, looked really good against Stella Nunes, got that knockout. So maybe these two will have like a fun little parallel career of impressing us, and then meet again down the road. But speaking of really confident fighters here of the night, lightweight division up next, Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon. I'm super confident in Bobby Green. This is one of my only 2 money lines I have on this card right now. I'm paying the chalk on Bobby Green, man, at minus 250. Yeah, minus 250. I know a lot of people, like, they don't want to pay chalk on Bobby Green because he's kind of low fight IQ and sometimes likes to showboat a lot. But skill for skill, man, he's so much faster than Jared Gordon. His striking is so much better. His wrestling, I think, is even better, and his takedown defense is really good. He can keep it standing if he just wants to box him over 3 rounds, potentially get the knockout in this one too. I wouldn't be surprised if he get a knockout in this fight. It is Bobby Green, so I guess that would shock me just inherently since this guy's a decision machine, but this is a big step down in competition after he got knocked out by Drew Dober. So Jared Gordon, of course, man, I'm not salty about that last fight, but if he would have gotten his hand raised, I would have had a clean $10,000 off of that night. So a little salty about that decision with Patty Pimblett.
I would be a little salty as well.
Just a little salty, but overall, he did lose that fight on the numbers, but he should have won that fight at least 2 rounds to 1, if not 3-1. Yeah, it was like a $10 bet to win $10K too. It wasn't like I put up a bunch of money. Like it was like I had the entire card correct except for that one. So,
oh my god, it's terrible.
That was the only one.
Bad for you.
So, not salty. I'm over it. But trying to get that money. Man. Trying to get that money back. Fading Jared Gordon in this spot. He's just such a generalist that like he can beat really crappy wrestlers. He can beat really crappy strikers. He's faced pretty much nothing but wrestler grappler types over his last several years of fighting. So this is going to be like a first really good striker he's facing. And I don't think it's going to go well for him. I'd say Bobby Green by decision, but I maybe would sprinkle that knockout prop in there too, man. It's what did I see? It's like plus 350 on DraftKings, I think. So
not bad.
With all of the numbers Bobby Green's going to put up over 3 rounds potentially, he should be able to find one knockout sequence here. What do you take on this fight, man? Are you taking the dog and Jared Gordon? Do you think he pulls off another decision win? He should get his hand raised with.
No. This is a great matchup for Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green does whatever he wants to do here. He's going to keep it on the feet, and then he's going to showboat a little bit. He's going to look good. He's going to out strike Gordon. I don't know if he's going to get the knockout, but it's not a bad idea. I said by decision. He should be able to outstrike him in every round, stuff any takedowns that Gordon tries to go for. And if Gordon wants to hold him up against the cage, it's not going to score any points. And which is why Gordon lost the 3rd round in the Patty Pimblett fight, because that's all he did. He didn't do anything. And usually the refs do not reward people for holding them up against the cage and not doing anything. So that's the only thing I can see Gordon do is hold him up against the cage and not get hit. But Bobby Green's going to hit him like 3-1 in every round. So he's going to be too quick. I don't see Gordon knocking him out. He doesn't have the power to do it. I just don't see any way Gordon wins at all. So I like Bobby Green a lot. He's one of my confident picks. I have him in a parlay with Glenn. I got the over 1.5 in a super safe parlay because I do think if Bobby Green does get a knockout, it's later in the fight. So because Gordon does slow down in the 3rd round. So other than that, it's Bobby Green all day. It's Bobby Green season this time. I'm telling you, he's going to win this fight.
Glad to hear you're confident on that one. Yeah, I would have probably loaded up more if it wasn't for Bobby Green just coming off of a knockout and him just being low IQ. I'm just doing 2.5 units at minus 250 to win 1. Just that's as much as I'm willing to, go on this fight where one guy just got robbed in a decision and Jared Gordon. Bobby Green gets robbed in decisions all the time as well. It could be sketchy.
True.
If it goes all the way. Mike saying, is it Jared training with Bilal? He used to, so I assume unless he switched camps, because I remember Bilal reacting, pretty angrily to that decision going in the favor of Patty Pimblett because his teammate was Jared Gordon. So I guess he's still training with him. But yeah, man, Shady's saying don't forget his wrestling background. Man, the guy's not been bad over like really good wrestlers and really good strikers over the course of his career. Like both guys are kind of in that same similarity, right? Where like they're kind of generalists as far as who they can fight and get a win over. But Jared Gordon, just such a lower caliber of people compared. So he's a generalist in like a much lower tier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So pretty confident. I'm more confident I feel like most people have been in Bobby Green, just because I think a lot of people are just upset as his past, where like he can get hit and then he just kind of starts showboating, keeps his hands down. Never somebody you want to back with like all of like a max bet, but in this spot, man, this is like a tailor-made spot for him, I think. But
it's a very good matchup for him. Very good.
Yeah, Daz Files in the house. What's up, Daz? He's saying this should go to decision. Surely, yeah, I agree with you, man.
Mhm.
And I wonder if I could just ensure this bet with like betting it goes to the split decision, just in case something goes horribly awry here.
It's true. It could. It could. It could. Maybe Gordon touches him up a little bit in one round, and one judge is like, "Wow, he did really good. He's going to win 2 rounds."
Right. Man, hopefully it's not one of those weeks. But speaking of people who go to decision constantly in their career, we've got a middleweight bout in the co-main event with Brad Tavares taking on Bruno Silva. Pretty interesting matchup here, in my opinion, just because Bruno Silva is got all the questions on him, right? Like, is this guy going to be the killer he was overseas before the UFC? Is he going to be the killer that we saw in his first 3 UFC fights? Or is he, going to be that more like flat, gas bag that we saw against Gerald Meerschaert last August? Whereas Brad Tavares is the much more consistent fighter over like a 13-year UFC career at this point he's going on. The guy's been consistent with getting decision win after decision win. I think he's got the record in the middleweight division for decision wins. So usually if you're betting Brad Tavares, I mean, you should put a little bit on his money line, a little bit on his plus money decision prop, which on this fight is plus 175. And I considered betting it, but now I'm not as confident. Like Johnny, like I like Brad Tavares a lot. And after seeing Bruno Silva last time out, man, I started going back in his record. I'm like, kind of like with Jeremiah Wells in a way, where it's like, all right, he had 3 knockouts, but he beat Wellington Turman, who's a grappler, gas bag. He beat Andrew Sanchez, who's a wrestler that took him 3 rounds to do it. He beat Jordan Wright, who's one of the worst fighters to ever grace the octagon multiple times, and then he had a really good performance against Alex Pereira, but lost ultimately, didn't knock him out. Gerald Meerschaert got clubbed and subbed in round 3. So it's like, were these just a couple? Was that just one flat performance, or has this guy's power been a little overrated? Like when you go back to his regional tape in M1, he's a killer. But I don't know. I'm sort of just banking on, again, like maybe if he just overswings against the guy who's been durable and consistent in Brad Tavares. I could see Brad Tavares being a sneaky play here, but I'd want plus money on him, Like I'm picking him to win, but I'd want plus money on Tavares for sure if he's going against this level of a striker who I'm not totally writing off yet. So picking Brad Tavares by decision, but I think I've crossed betting on him off of my list. So where are you at on this fight? You seeing a vicious knockout from Bruno Silva?
I don't know about vicious, but potentially a knockout. Like I've been going back.
A soft,
gentle. He'll lay his head down gently. But this is another really close fight, and I know everyone goes back to the GM3 fight, and I did too. And it's like, man, that was just such a weird fight because he looked really good against Alex Pereira, and he looked good against everyone else before except GM3. But GM3 is that mythical weird fighter in the 3rd round. If you don't get him out in the 1st round, like he's gonna win in the 3rd. Like that's just how he is.
Yeah.
But there was some speculation that, it was like super hot in the arena. It was in San Diego, I believe it was, or something like that. And he was gassing or something.
That sounds like my shoes were tied too tight. The sun's in my eyes.
But he looked completely different. Like I've never seen Bruno Silva look like that. And like he didn't even do a lot. That's the thing. And he looked gassed. I don't know if maybe he was hurt, maybe it was a bad weight cut or whatever it was, but I'll let that one slide. Tavares, I mean, he's always solid. He's just not really good anywhere. So to me, I think the more dangerous fighter is Silva on the feet, especially. Tavares doesn't really use his wrestling that much, but he should in this fight if he wants to win pretty comfortably and not get knocked out. But this could be a good fight. I think it could go to decision as well. It could be close as well. I'm going to go with Silva to get the upset. I do think he can get the knockout, and I do think he can get a decision win. I just don't think. I think Tavares' only path to victory here is going to be by decision, and I think Silva has both paths by knockout or decision. And I know Tavares hasn't been knocked out in a while, but he's been knocked out 3 out of his 7 losses, so he can get knocked out. But he's usually durable. He can take a hit, but how many can he take? Especially Silva is a pretty good guy, and I know he took a lot of hits again in the Dricus fight too. And I'm surprised he didn't get knocked out in that fight too. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a close fight, I think. But so give me the dog. I'm not gonna bet it though. I'm not that confident, but I'm just taking a shot, rolling the dice for my pick. Kind of like the over. I don't know. I think it's at a pick'em price now. Um, Trying to think of anything else I would maybe do for this fight.
Interesting. So you think the bigger moments of Silva could actually lead to a point score?
Yeah, he might even get a knockdown, and that might win him that round. Like maybe
it's hard to come.
round.
It's always hard to come back from a knockdown. Like no matter what you do in the fight.
True. Yeah. Unless it's like the last like 10 seconds of the round, and you're dominating that round, you may win that round. Like may. But other than that,
you got to
look
at the mat and be like, "Oh, there's some ice in the ground. I slipped. That wasn't a knockdown. I slipped." Everybody, look at that.
If I was a UFC fighter, what I would do is if I got knocked down around, I got back up, I'm like, all right, I'm saving all energy. I lost that round.
Yeah,
like literally, because you're gonna lose. Like you can't come back from a knockdown.
I see Shady in the house saying Reddit Tavares, moneyline and decision. Okay,
I like the decision.
That's what I wrote down. I wanted to play both of those. Like, maybe you play it like 70-30. Anthony W. putting money on Tavares, hoping the experience the big factor. Certainly is, man. He's been there with a lot of really good people. Like Anthony's saying, the freak, like Romero for 5 rounds.
True.
Same with Adesanya as well. So yeah, I always love this. Justin must be in the further back in the stream. Or his brain's just processing something right now. Says, give me Norma Badonka-dunk. I don't want a baby shark bony twerk. I like some meat on the bone. The more the merry. Yes.
Baby shark's good though.
She's doesn't have that featherweight ass though. So yeah. All right. Well, we can move on to the main event. 25 of you people in the live chat. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Check out the links in the description. My guy JohnnyKpicks, his YouTube, his Twitter, his Instagram. All of which he's very active on, giving the best.
I want 50 likes, guys. 50. Let's go.
Let's do it. So, yeah, Johnny, and again, thanks for joining me for this UFC Vegas 71 headlined by heavyweight bout in the Apex. Sergey Pavlovich, who's ranked number 3 in the heavyweight division, over Curtis Blaydes, who's been in the UFC's division for forever. He's number 4. So crazy how that works out when you just brawl your way to the top with knockout after knockout, first round finish after first round finish for the Russian Sergey Pavlovich, who is 17-1, and Curtis Blaydes, who's 17-3, only losing to 2 men out of those 3 losses, which are Francis Ngannou by a doctor stoppage, Ngannou again in round 1 by like a minute, and then Derek Lewis a couple years back. It cost me a lot of money that night, and it might cost me more money again tonight because I have a unit and a half on Curtis Blaydes in this fight.
Ooh, okay.
Right now on the money line. Now I want to sort of ensure that a bit by I will be betting the unders in some fashion. I haven't found a way to do it yet, like whether it's the under 1.5 or the fight doesn't start round 2 and just pay the extra juice on that. I think
you can do the under 2.5, and that's a money parlay piece.
Yeah, that's juicy as well. But the fact of the matter is, whoever wins this fight, I don't see it going 3 rounds. If by some miracle it did, and we have seen Sergey Pavlovich go 5 rounds in this past, but literally nothing happened in that fight. Nothing happened in that fight. They were like fainting at each other the whole time, standing there for 23 minutes, really. And then at the very end, like 30 seconds left, Sergey Pavlovich like grabbed a body lock takedown and like slammed the guy to the mat and won the fight based off of that, basically. So he has gone 5 rounds, but not an active 5 rounds. I don't see this being the same as that one, but I mean, at the same time, it's like Curtis Blaydes can strike. He can strike with the best of them. He probably shouldn't choose to strike with the best of them. That would be very poor decision-making here, but his wrestling is so strong. And if you look at the record of Sergey Pavlovich, again, I'm going to break down his record a little bit here. It's, my guy, Alistair Overeem, of course, gave him a vet lesson in round 1. That was years ago. He had like some knee surgeries since then. He faced Marcelo Golm, Maurice Green, 2 guys we haven't seen or heard from since then, knocked them both out. Came back after the knee surgery, knocked out Shamil, who's old and washed up with that big like uppercut. Derek Lewis, good win there in 55 seconds. And then like the new Samoan version of Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa. He knocked out in 1 second less than that. So good win there. So he's more aggressive these days, at least than what I've seen like pre-UFC. Like he's just getting in people's faces, no matter how big or small they are, and just knocking them out. But nobody that's really forcing like a takedown threat in their fights, right? There's nobody you have to be worried to really overswing against. So Curtis Blaydes could stand his own as a heavyweight and strike. Probably not the best idea. He probably will get knocked out. But if he at least chooses to shoot for a takedown and like get that thought in Sergey's mind, he could probably overtake this fight. If it goes past round 1, I really heavily favor Curtis Blaydes. So that's what I'm banking on here. But I saw round 1 knockout for Sergey Pavlovich, the only way he's ever gotten a finish in his career, 14 times. Like that was plus 350 in a lot of books. So
it's insane.
Yeah. And then I like the same game parlays on DraftKings. I'm really a big fan of those because if I'm looking to target maybe a little bit more on Curtis Blaydes, if you pick the Curtis Blaydes money line, same game parlay that with like over 300 seconds, which will be into round 2, and then do it like by finish, do it by knockout, you can get like a giant plus money number instead of paying chalk on them. So I might do something like that. I might have some form of the unders in there as well. But I'm banking on Curtis Blaydes getting a ground and pound TKO stoppage in this fight. What's your take on this one, man? Are you excited for it, first of all?
Excited for however long it lasts, because it's going to be, I think it's going to be quick. I think it's going to be under like, however, whoever wins this fight, it's going to be like under 3 minutes, I believe.
Damn, so Pavlovich.
Yeah, but Curtis Blaydes can get the takedown early. This is what I see happening. Sergey is going to be going in and be aggressive. He did that against Ty. He did that against Derek Lewis. He didn't do that against Shamil, and I want to say it's because it was another Russian, so he was being a little generous. That's just my conspiracy theorist. But he should have destroyed him, though. Let's be honest. Anyways, but I think Sergey's best chance is to go forward and pick the right time to go unleash that storm that he usually does. And for Blaydes, is he going to counter that storm, or is he going to shoot the takedown? So that's what I'm scared, and that's what I'm thinking about, who's going to do what here. But I'm ultimately going to go and taking a shot on Sergey to win, just because Blaydes is, I don't want to say he's fallen in love with his striking, but he's been striking more so, but he doesn't really had to like wrestle either. So I kind of see it on both sides. But I almost feel like he's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to try it out and see what happens the first, couple minutes, and whatever happens. It's a 5-round fight. But Sergey's like, nope, you're going to get hit. Boom. And then he's going to be out or get stunned. And then and the ref's going to stop it on the feet or something like that. So I could see it go either way, though. Like you said, if this fight goes, I'll say if this fight goes over 3 minutes, probably Blaydes going to win this fight. Even 3 minutes, but the first 3 minutes is going to be Sergey all day. That's the only chance he's going to win this fight, is in the first 3 minutes of the first round. So I love the under 1.5. I think that's a great line and a bet for both guys, because even if, let's say, Sergey shoot or goes for it and tries to get the knockout, and Blaydes shoots and gets that takedown, it's going to take him like 2 minutes, and then he's going to get the knockout after that. I think the ground and pound.
That's what I'm thinking.
So I think this ends in the under 1.5, like 9 out of 10 times, and I'll pay that price all day. It's my biggest bet of the night. I think it happens. Both guys, I think out of 38 combined fights, like 28 of them have ended under 1.5. So that's a pretty good clip, and the price is like minus 135, minus 145 for that. So it worked. It checks out to me. I think that's the safest bet, one way or another. But I like that. Sergey first round knockout prop.
It's moved down slightly, but there's still some books out there you can find like plus 300 for round 1 knockout, plus 350. I saw.
I like that.
BetOnline and DraftKings. I think the BetOnline one is the one that came down, but I mean, I see a lot of people shady in the house saying round 2 Blaydes, but he also does like that under 1.5.
I got minus 135 right when it dropped from DraftKings.
That's what I'm questioning though, is like, how long will it take? How many elbows will it take? It'll take Curtis Blaydes a minute or two to get, Pavlovich off balance, take him down, get in a dominant position, start hammering down elbows onto him. Like, how long will it be
2
before
minutes.
It breaks? Because like Daz is saying, he's like, the Blaydes, he's got huge right hand and ends. I mean, like he's what did he say? No, he said he hits hard, but have we seen Sergey hit before? It's like very rarely, right? Like, I mean, maybe the Overeem fight.
He got clipped a couple times. I think in the tie fight he got clipped once, but he kept coming forward, and
he was
got
like
Ty
in full
before him.
turbo mode, and there might have been a couple that have come back
Yeah.
from, but he like knew he was going to win that fight. I think Overeem hit him with a couple of like something that stunned him. Then he took him down, and then after that it was like the precise ground and pound of Alistair just like shut him down instantly. So yeah, that's like how many ground and pound elbows will it take from Curtis Blaydes if it goes that route? Will it take?
I would say
will it take a round?
3 good ones. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be like 2 minutes on the ground. If Blaydes get the takedown, whatever time it is, add 2 minutes, it's gonna happen.
Okay. All right.
That's me.
Yeah. And especially if this goes into round 2, I think then it's just fair game for Curtis to get this done. So a lot of questions to be answered, man. But yeah, if you're on the Pavlovich side, can't blame me on that one. It's a simple thing, right? It's 2 heavyweights going at it, possibly swinging 4-ounce
small cage too.
Yeah, small cage. If you get plus 150 on Pavlovich, I can't blame that line of thinking.
Just do the knockout prop. Don't play the money line.
After last week's bets, man, like when I picked like all the technical guys to go heavy on, and they all got clobbered in the head by like a big power puncher like Mirzakhanov or Pedro Munoz or what else? Royval, like all of like the big heavy moment winners won against my bet. So like my first knee-jerk instinct was like, let's just pick Pavlovich and not overthink it. But on the Curtis Blaydes money line right now at minus 150, I paid 1.5 units on that so far. Probably going to add like some same game parlay action on him and then try to ensure this with some of these unders that Johnny's talking about. But that's as far as I'm going with it. So anything else on that fight, man? Any other crazy ideas? What are we looking at? Like I mean, all of these unders, like the higher the under,
anything under.
Under
I think I wouldn't.
Way too much.
3.5, I wouldn't go. I think 2.5 is where you should stop, and I think it just doesn't go.
I might do that
past 2.5. There's just no way.
Just wish there was something else to like parlay that with on this card, but there's like no good parlay pieces I like on here.
You can do the I like the Norman Dumont fight to go over 2. I think that's an easy over 2.5. And then all you need maybe is just one more easy like fight to start round 2 thing, and that's plus money. Yeah,
just a tough betting card altogether, man. I haven't really found a whole lot of spots I like.
I don't mind it. I like it actually.
All right, I'll just copy and paste your bets then. Let's go. So, thanks a lot for joining the stream once again, Mr. Johnny K. It's a pleasure as always, my friend. The floor is yours. Shout out whatever else content you got going on. You're going live tomorrow night with Cody, right?
Yep. Every Thursday, me and Cody do our live streams. 7 o'clock Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central time. I usually put my betting breakdown videos out on Sundays, if not Mondays for sure. You can find me at JohnnyKpicks, Twitter, Instagram. I don't do the TikTok. Obviously, YouTube, I'm on there as well. Maybe one day when I'll do some TikTok, but right now I'm okay with Instagram and Twitter. But that's about all I do. I jump on when somebody wants me on their show, and I'm more than happy to, as long as I'm not busy. So I love having live streams and talking fights with anybody. So great time. I always love talking fights with you, Patty, though.
Hell yeah, man. And hopefully we'll get another fight companion stream.
I know every time, like I always think like you, me, Cody, and even Manny, like we always have like the best like fight companions.
We'll get our boy Mushroom in here as well. He's on YouTube,
that was fun too.
I did one with him for the last pay-per-view of Islam Makhachev and Volk. We had a good time watching that.
Yeah.
Just had a couple of drinks, couple of smokes, made some money that night when Makhachev got his hand raised. That was a fun time. So we'll get Mushroom in there as well. So, all right, you guys, thanks for coming out, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. I'll have that best bets and props out in the next day or two. Good luck in all your betting action. I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers.
Good luck.